Amazing. Good to see everybody. Again, hello and welcome to another ACNJ Lunch and Learn. Today, we are excited to welcome Tonya Costin, manager in the New Jersey Department of Labor's Office of Care Workforce. Tonya is a dedicated early care and education professional with extensive experience implementing state and federal programs to strengthen services for families and children. Today, she'll be talking about the department's efforts to strengthen New Jersey's care workforce, supporting those who care for our children, families, and communities. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Tonya Costin.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time in your day to come hear about the work that is happening at the Department of Labor. Um, we'll get started because I do want to honor people's time. I know if your schedules have to be crazy because mine's is, and you're taking care of little children and their families. So you can go to the next slide. So just a little bit of a background. The Department of Labor, so for many of you, I'm gonna start over. So for many of you, you may know me or know my name at least, as I served 24 years at the Department of Education, helping to build New Jersey's preschool, state-funded preschool program for many years. And in that time, New Jersey had several iterations of the PDG B5 grant, which was a federal grant around sort of systems building. At one time, one iteration was to provide slots in a state to expand preschool services. And the final grant that New Jersey hosted from the feds was around workforce. And with that grant, we worked with the Department of Human Services to launch the infant toddler apprenticeship program. So part of the background that goes along with that is when labor joined the table and really wanted to see themselves as a partner with other sister agencies to be able to really integrate in and sort of figure out how they could be a better partner with the resources they had and the focus that they had on workforce. So as you can see on the slide, here are some of the challenges and things that sort of DOL was taking into consideration when they decided to join in this work. And then ultimately, as they had our director, Holly Lowe, who's the director of strategic outreach, sitting at many tables that represented the care workforce and other issues around that birth to five space, she decided and had spoke with leadership to really talk about how do we formalize our relationships with other sister agencies? How do we formalize the strategic outreach to make sure that we are hearing from those in the field? So we are lifting voices and giving access and supporting using our dollars to really extend the work that labor sees as important. So with that, that came the Office of Care Workforce. The office was launched in December of 2024. Next slide. So these are some stats that we wanted to highlight, really, which I know all of you are very much aware of. But when we share these type of workshops, we always want to remind people about the urgency and the importance of supporting the care workforce, because we see these individuals and all of you are really the backbone of the workforce. Many of you might be like myself. I'm in the sandwich generation. I have my 85-year-old father, and I'm raising two teenage boys. So that care. So today they're not in childcare, but they were. Aftercare, childcare, they went to a registered home provider, all of those things to help me be able to go to work, earn a living, to provide for my family. So when we think about those of us who need direct care workers, these are just some highlights that we wanted to show and share. Like I said, I know you guys are very much aware of what happens, but when we share this workshop, we always want to remind people why we made this focus, why we created this office, and made it a standalone office so that we could really focus efforts and energy and partnerships that we believe in the long term will really help us make impactful and important, progress around this workforce. And as of today, we also always want to be very clear. We understand that these three buckets of individuals, like direct care workers, child care, and maternal health workers, are not the only workers within the care workforce, but this is where the Department of Labor chose to start because we had many partnerships when we think about the Department of Human Services, the Department of Children and Families, and the Department of Health and the Department of Education. So we thought this was a good starting point for where we should enter into this work. Next slide. So this is just a kind of an overview, giving you some ideas of what our efforts are, and what sort of brought the office, to bear, and what we're looking at. And further into the presentation, I also will highlight some of the work that is currently going on. Just one of the things I wanted to highlight is the final key effort point, which is coordinating a needs assessment with Rowan University. We are looking to do focus groups and surveys. So if you are interested in participating, please, my contact information will be at the end of this. Please, reach out to me and I will make sure that you get that information. It is your opportunity to sort of give feedback as we continue to design and implement this office and the initiatives that will happen within the office. Next slide. Here are some of our strategic focuses, like I pointed out, the key sectors that we're going to be starting with. And of course, these are our goals that we are starting with. And these goals will be rounded out once we do our needs assessment and, host our, we're going to do a survey. We're going to do focus groups and individual interviews and use that information to sort of really take another look at our goals and make sure we sort of, make sure that we have an actual plan so that these goals are just not lofty, but they are connected to projects and work and opportunities to give out grant money to the sector to really strengthen the work that is happening and those things that will not only support employees, but also support employers. Next slide. So in our industry partnership model, these are sort of what we look at. When we think about our overview, we have a core approach about connecting to stakeholders. So currently, the Department of Labor is looking to hire 2 individuals, and they will be considered business reps. So these will be individual people who will go out and be in the field talking to employers about their challenges, about their needs, what kind of supports they have, and really being a connector so that they will talk to stakeholders and sort of deliver, that targeted support. Do you need help connecting with a workforce board? Do you need help connecting to training institutions? Also making you aware to say, hey, the Department of Labor is going to be putting out a training grant and you're eligible to apply. And here's when a TA session is going to take place. And you can ask me questions and I can help make sure that you're connected. We see this as a benefit because really it's helping people connect to the Department of Labor. So many people, when they see us out and about, think of unemployment and did you pay your taxes? They don't know the wealth of resources that the Department of Labor has. And so we definitely want to use these individuals and myself to make those connections and then really also look to build up, conveners within our public partners, really look for champions that will help us move legislation and really sort of drive the work that we feel will benefit these sectors overall. Next. So when we think about existing initiatives, that I thought were important to share were these are just some of the efforts that we think about that usually people don't always associate with the work of the Department of Labor. So right now we have our Cultivating Access, Rights, and Equity, which is our CARE grant program. Some of you may have heard of it or may have had access or used them for resources. These are community organizations that we fund to really get out information about workers' rights, and all the things that people might have questions of, but they don't know where to go. They are scared maybe to contact if they need to make a complaint or that they need services. These are individuals that the Department of Labor has reached out to as key constituents in different communities to really support and connect and people to understand their rights. And then we have what we call Pathway to Recovery. It's a partnership with Rutgers University. And this is when we think about some of our special populations, when we have people who were impacted by the opioid epidemic, people who might be trying to be rehabilitated after being incarcerated. So these Pathways to Recovery and other projects like those within the Department of Labor really are looking at special populations that have other and additional barriers to entering the workforce. So we've created programs with partners to really help bring them back into the workforce and giving them opportunities to have wages and jobs that they find fulfilling, and more importantly, that jobs that will sustain them and to make them be able to receive appropriate training and opportunities for advancement. Then we have our apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship programs, and these are really opportunities to train people and really get them the work and certificate that they may need for entering the workforce in a number of fields. Most time people associate apprenticeships with the trades, but many of you are probably aware, the Department of Human Services did launch an infant toddler apprenticeship program. So, and then we have what we call our workforce 55 plus programs. And once again, this is for one of those special populations and the opportunities that are offered when employers will take on these different populations. So many times you could get reimbursed for their salary and benefits for a period of time. There's also training dollars that you can draw down. So there are many things that can be accessed. Also, the individual, if they are enrolled with the workforce boards, they can receive supports around like transportation and other things they might need, like, for example, getting funds to get their background, things expunged from their background in order for work purposes. Next. This is just kind of giving you an idea. Like I said, we're starting with these three focus populations within direct care workers, and we wanted to sort of show you what that sort of looks like for us in the work that we're currently doing and reaching. But like I said, this is just a starting point. We do expect to expand and really look deeply across the entire care workforce because we see the same issues and concerns. There tends to be high turnover. Career pathways can be challenging, and how do people use existing credentials and training to make growth and impact, especially if they're moving across the care workforce, so they're not always restarting, but actually able to use their training and expertise and use that as building blocks for future advancement. We also, of course, wages and benefits. Wages tend to be low. Also, people don't always see how their credentials are connected to opportunities to increase their wages and to make themselves more employable, or how we are supporting employers to be able to retain a highly skilled workforce so that once people are trained, they are not moving on. Next slide. As I talked about, we are working with Rowan University to do a needs assessment for the office. We really want to look at this as a way to identify gaps and opportunities. We don't want another study that tells us, hey, this is what New Jersey is doing great. This is what New Jersey is not doing so great on. We really want to incorporate voices from the field. We also want to do what we consider like asset mapping, where we can really look at what have previous reports said about the care workforce and the initiatives that are happening at the state level and the federal level that's impacting New Jersey. And how can we use those within this office to create opportunities for connections? So, for an example, we, within the First Lady's report around the maternal care workforce and how do we just support those who are pregnant and postpartum, transportation was an issue. So we then partnered with the department. We are currently partnering with the Department of Transportation and Go Trenton to create an initiative and a project that will be rolling out hopefully shortly, that will be offering subsidized rides to the maternal care workforce, as well as those who are pregnant and postpartum, to support them in reducing barriers around transportation. We are also working with Go Trenton to create a kiosk at the workforce boards. So when individuals need rides to and from the workforce boards when they are looking for jobs. So this is kind of what this needs assessment we're hoping will do, give us other opportunities for connections, not just another report that says this is what we're doing well and this is what we're doing not so well. Also, we will use that to explore the many councils that already exist and how can we integrate into those councils by creating a goal or a subcommittee around workforce so that we as the Department of Labor can really expand our reach and really make sure people are knowledgeable of the resources and supports that are ongoing at the Department of Labor and that are not always accessed by these particular workforces. Next slide. So here's just a few of our next steps. We are looking to do a notice of grant opportunity. And one of the things this will do is going to be focused only for entities that are focused on care workforces. We want to make sure that, individual entities, whether you are individual child care center and you have one location or you're a chain and you have multiple locations, that you would have an opportunity to access resources from the Department of Labor for training opportunities. And this is not only for new staff, but if you have existing staff that you would like to train up, there will be opportunities within this NGO for that to happen. So we are currently in the process of designing that NGO, and we hope to get it out before the end of the year. We are currently creating an MOU with DHS to support another round of apprenticeships, as well as for them to do an evaluation on the current apprenticeship so that it gives us feedback of other pathways that we could be supporting to help the child care workforce. We talked about the needs assessment. And like I said, you will have my information. Please, if you are interested in doing a survey, participating in a focus group, they will be virtual. So just to be very clear, you won't have to travel to Trenton or anywhere like that. There will be virtual opportunities. And of course, the survey will only be about 10 minutes long for you to have your voice included in this work. And I can provide that information to you. And then I talked a little bit about our coordinated efforts around our pilot with DOT and Go Trenton. And then, of course, our roles around councils and other opportunities to bring and uplift the voice of not only the workers, but also you as employers into the work that we do. And I think that is our final slide, and I'll just bring up my information. And so I'm ready to take any questions or provide any clarifications because I know we went through that pretty quickly.